Your mindset is the foundation of everything you experience in life. It is the lens through which you interpret the world, the filter that defines whether challenges appear as obstacles or opportunities, and the source of your emotional stability in the face of adversity. Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control external events, we can always control how we perceive and respond to them. This control over perception is what builds a resilient mindset. Imagine two people facing the same problem. One sees it as unfair suffering, while the other sees it as a chance to grow stronger. The difference is not the event itself, but the mindset. Developing a strong mindset allows you to stay calm in storms that shake others because you learn to differentiate between what you can control and what you cannot. By focusing only on what lies within your influence, your thoughts, your actions, your reactions, you build self-confidence rooted in wisdom rather than arrogance. Such confidence is unshakable because it does not depend on external validation, but on inner discipline. A mindset built on Stoic principles teaches you to welcome both success and failure with calm, to treat praise and criticism equally, and to move forward steadily regardless of life's fluctuations. This foundation is the key to peace of mind and strength of character. Calmness is often misunderstood as weakness or passivity, but in truth, it is one of the greatest forms of power. The ability to remain calm when others lose control gives you the advantage of clarity, focus, and rational decision-making. The Stoics believe that emotions like anger, fear, and panic cloud judgment, while calmness sharpens it. When you stay calm, you free yourself from the control of circumstances. You are no longer a slave to external events. Instead, you rise above them with composure. Calmness is not about ignoring problems, but about approaching them with a clear mind, without the noise of destructive emotions. In moments of crisis, the calm person becomes the leader, the anchor others look to for guidance. This power comes from training the mind to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Through practices such as daily reflection, journaling, or meditative breathing, Stoics strengthen their ability to remain calm in chaos. Modern life, with its constant rush, noise, and pressure, makes calmness even more valuable today. A calm mindset protects your energy, saves you from unnecessary conflicts, and helps you maintain confidence even when circumstances appear unfavorable. It is through calmness that true strength reveals itself, because calmness is mastery of the self. Calmness is often misunderstood as weakness or passivity, but in truth, it is one of the greatest forms of power. The ability to remain calm when others lose control gives you the advantage of clarity, focus, and rational decision-making. The Stoics believe that emotions like anger, fear, and panic cloud judgment, while calmness sharpens it. When you stay calm, you free yourself from the control of circumstances. You are no longer a slave to external events. Instead, you rise above them with composure. Calmness is not about ignoring problems, but about approaching them with a clear mind, without the noise of destructive emotions. In moments of crisis, the calm person becomes the leader, the anchor others look to for guidance. This power comes from training the mind to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Through practices such as daily reflection, journaling, or meditative breathing, Stoics strengthen their ability to remain calm in chaos. Modern life, with its constant rush, noise, and pressure, makes calmness even more valuable today. A calm mindset protects your energy, saves you from unnecessary conflicts, and helps you maintain confidence even when circumstances appear unfavorable. It is through calmness that true strength reveals itself, because calmness is mastery of the self. One of the most powerful Stoic practices for maintaining calm and confidence is detachment. Detachment does not mean indifference or lack of care. Rather, it means caring wisely. The Stoics taught that we must distinguish between what depends on us and what does not. Our thoughts, our choices, and our actions depend on us, but the opinions of others, the outcomes of our efforts, and the twists of fortune do not. When you attach your peace of mind to things outside your control, you live in constant anxiety. because the world will never bend perfectly to your desires. But when you detach from external outcomes and focus instead on your own virtue and effort, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. This detachment creates deep inner peace. You can work hard, love deeply, and contribute fully, but without fear of loss or desperation for recognition. Such a mindset creates confidence rooted in stability, because nothing external can shake it. The calmness that flows from detachment is not coldness. It is clarity, the ability to act without being enslaved by fear or desire. Detachment allows you to enjoy success without arrogance and endure failure without despair. This is the Stoic path to enduring calmness and self-confidence. One of the most powerful Stoic practices for maintaining calm and confidence is detachment. Detachment does not mean indifference or lack of care. Rather, it means caring wisely. The Stoics taught that we must distinguish between what depends on us and what does not. Our thoughts, our choices, and our actions depend on us. But the opinions of others, the outcomes of our efforts, and the twists of fortune do not. When you attach your peace of mind to things outside your control, you live in constant anxiety, because the world will never bend perfectly to your desires. But when you detach from external outcomes and focus instead on your own virtue and effort, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. This detachment creates deep inner peace. You can work hard, love deeply, and contribute fully, but without fear of loss or desperation for recognition. Such a mindset creates confidence rooted in stability, because nothing external can shake it. The calmness that flows from detachment is not coldness. It is clarity, the ability to act without being enslaved by fear or desire. Detachment allows you to enjoy success without arrogance and endure failure without despair. This is the Stoic path to enduring calmness and self-confidence. Perspective shapes reality. Two people may experience the exact same event, yet walk away with entirely different lessons, emotions, and outcomes. What makes the difference is not the event, but the mindset through which it is processed. Stoicism emphasizes the art of reframing, choosing to see events in ways that empower rather than weaken. For instance, losing a job can be viewed as a disaster or as an opportunity for growth, redirection, and discovery of hidden strengths. When you learn to shift perspective, you gain the ability to turn setbacks into stepping stones. This mindset requires practice because the natural human instinct is often to focus on loss, discomfort, or perceived injustice. But through training the mind to question initial reactions, calmness is preserved and self-confidence is maintained. A Stoic perspective asks, what is within my control here, and how can I act with wisdom? This question reframes every event, reducing fear and replacing it with clarity. Perspective also shields against arrogance in success, because you learn to see victories not as proof of superiority, but as opportunities for gratitude and responsibility. By controlling perspective, you master your inner world, and when the inner world is steady, no external storm can shake you. A calm and confident life is not achieved by chance. It is the result of disciplined training of the mind. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus treated the mind as a muscle that requires exercise, reflection, and intentional habits. Without discipline, the mind wanders into negativity, distraction, and destructive emotions. But through consistent practice, discipline creates clarity and strength. Discipline in thought means refusing to dwell on what is outside your control, resisting the urge to indulge in anger or envy, and choosing instead to focus on virtue, effort, and wisdom. Daily routines such as journaling, morning reflections, and evening reviews were core Stoic practices for disciplining the mind. This discipline builds calmness, because your thoughts are not pulled in 1,000 directions by impulses. It also nurtures self-confidence, because when you live with mental discipline, you trust yourself to act with consistency and strength. Confidence grows when you know that you will not betray your own principles under pressure. In modern life, where distraction is constant and self-control is rare, the discipline of the mind is more valuable than ever. It creates the kind of inner strength that cannot be purchased or faked, only earned through practice. True freedom, according to Stoicism, is not found in doing whatever you want, but in mastering your emotions. When emotions dominate, you are a prisoner of impulses. You lash out in anger, collapse in fear, or drown in despair. But when you learn to control emotions, you reclaim inner freedom. Emotional control does not mean suppression, but understanding and guiding emotions wisely. Anger, for example, may rise naturally, but the Stoic pauses, reflects, and chooses to respond calmly rather than erupt destructively. This control gives a profound sense of calmness, because you are no longer tossed around by every emotional wave. Emotional mastery also strengthens self-confidence. Because you trust yourself to remain steady under pressure. Imagine negotiating in business or dealing with conflict. Emotional outbursts weaken credibility, but calmness commands respect. Emotional control requires self-awareness, the ability to recognize triggers, and the patience to pause before reacting. Over time, it creates a deep sense of stability and inner freedom. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances, because your emotions serve you, not the other way around. In this mastery lies one of the greatest Stoic lessons. The calm and confident person is the truly free person. The Stoics taught that the only true good is virtue, living with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. Confidence built on wealth, appearance, or status is fragile, because these things can vanish overnight. But confidence rooted in virtue is unshakable, because no external force can take away your integrity. When you live in alignment with virtue, you naturally cultivate calmness, because you have nothing to hide, nothing to fear, and nothing to regret. Confidence flows from knowing that your actions reflect your values, regardless of external outcomes. A person who acts with justice can face criticism calmly, because truth stands on its own. A person who lives with courage can face uncertainty confidently, because they trust in their strength of character. Virtue transforms self-confidence from arrogance into humility. Confidence not in being better than others, but in being true to yourself. This kind of confidence inspires respect, builds trust, and endures through adversity. The Stoics believe that virtue is the highest achievement of human life, and in practicing it daily, we find the calmness of a clear conscience and the confidence of a steady heart. Adversity is not just a test of mindset. It is also the best training ground for strengthening it. The Stoics often reminded themselves that hardship is not an obstacle to the good life, but an essential part of it. Just as muscles grow stronger through resistance, so does the mind through challenges. Every difficulty is an opportunity to practice patience, resilience, and wisdom. The calmness that arises from Stoicism is not built in comfort, but in the fire of adversity. When you endure pain without bitterness, loss without despair, and failure without giving up, you forge a mindset that cannot be shaken. This training builds unshakable confidence, because you no longer fear hardship. You know you can handle it. Each trial becomes a lesson, each obstacle a teacher. Instead of avoiding challenges, the Stoic welcomes them as opportunities to grow. This mindset is transformative, because fear of failure no longer holds you back from pursuing meaningful goals. With adversity as a training ground, you develop a quiet confidence that is not boastful but steady. You trust yourself not because life is easy, but because you have proven your strength in the hardest of times. This is how Stoicism turns adversity into a gift. Self-awareness is the cornerstone of calmness and self-confidence. Without it, you cannot understand the roots of your fears, anxieties, or insecurities. The Stoics emphasized knowing oneself deeply, examining thoughts, observing emotions, and questioning impulses. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote daily reflections to sharpen his awareness of how he responded to challenges. This practice builds calmness, because it prevents you from being controlled by unconscious patterns. Instead of reacting blindly, you pause and recognize, this is anger rising, or this is fear speaking. That recognition creates space to choose a wiser response. Self-awareness also nurtures confidence, Because when you understand your strengths and weaknesses honestly, you no longer live in self-deception. Confidence built on illusion crumbles when tested, but confidence grounded in self-knowledge is stable. By regularly reflecting on your actions, intentions, and values, you align your life more closely with virtue. This inner clarity creates the kind of calmness that is not shaken by external opinions, because you already know yourself better than anyone else can define you. Thus, through the Stoic practice of self-awareness, you gain the insight to live calmly and the confidence to walk your path with certainty. Life is in constant motion. Everything changes, and nothing is permanent. The Stoics often meditated on this truth, not to fall into despair, but to cultivate gratitude and calm acceptance. When you resist impermanence, you cling desperately to people, possessions, or circumstances, and this attachment breeds anxiety. But when you accept change as part of life, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. Calmness flows from recognizing that nothing external is truly yours to keep forever, and confidence arises from the understanding that you can endure loss without losing yourself. This acceptance also fuels appreciation. You cherish people and moments more deeply because you know they will not last forever. Impermanence, rather than diminishing life's value, enhances it. The Stoics would even remind themselves of mortality, practicing memento mori, remember you must die, not as a morbid thought but as a source of perspective. When you realize time is limited, you stop wasting it on trivial concerns, gossip, or fear of judgment. Instead, you live with urgency, focus, and courage. Accepting impermanence creates a mindset that is calm in loss, grateful in presence, and confident in the face of the unknown. Confidence is not developed by thinking positively or repeating affirmations alone. It is built through action. The Stoics believed that philosophy is not about words but deeds. You gain confidence each time you take courageous action, even when afraid. Action is the proof of your mindset. For example, you may fear speaking in public, but each time you stand and speak despite the fear, your confidence grows. Stoicism teaches that fear shrinks when faced directly, and courage grows with practice. Calmness also comes through action, because indecision and hesitation breed anxiety, while decisive action brings clarity. By focusing on what is within your control, the effort, not the outcome, you act without fear of failure. Over time, consistent action builds trust in yourself, which is the root of confidence. You no longer need to convince yourself with empty words. You know you are capable because you have lived it. The Stoics remind us that philosophy is training for life, not theory. Thus, confidence and calmness are forged not in imagination, but in the daily practice of courageous action, guided by wisdom. One of the greatest obstacles to calmness and confidence is the need for approval. When your peace of mind depends on the opinions of others, you live as a prisoner to their judgments. Stoicism offers a liberating perspective. Other people's thoughts are outside your control and therefore irrelevant to your inner freedom. Epictetus taught that we cannot control what others think of us, only how we act and live according to virtue. When you internalize this truth, calmness emerges because criticism no longer disturbs your mind and praise no longer inflates your ego. Confidence also grows because you measure yourself not by shifting social standards, but by your own values and principles. This does not mean ignoring others completely. Rather, it means valuing justice and truth above popularity. When you act with integrity, you are free from the need for constant validation. Imagine the peace of living authentically, without bending your actions to please or impress. This independence is the essence of Stoic confidence. It is quiet, steady, and rooted in self-respect. By letting go of approval, you reclaim your calmness and unlock the courage to live as your truest self. The Stoics taught the immense value of living fully in the present moment. Anxiety often arises from worrying about the future, while regret chains us to the past. Calmness, however, is found in the present, where life actually happens. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." By focusing on the now, You reduce unnecessary suffering and gain clarity. Self-confidence also grows when you live in the present, because fear of the future no longer paralyzes you. Instead, you act with courage in the moment available to you. Living presently does not mean ignoring the past or future entirely. It means not allowing them to dominate your mind. The past is a teacher, the future is uncertain, but the present is the only place where action is possible. This mindset creates both calmness and confidence, because you are not distracted by what-ifs or if-onlys. You become steady, focused, and effective. In modern life, filled with endless distractions, the discipline of presence is rare, yet it is a superpower. By returning again and again to the present, you find peace, clarity, and strength, the essence of Stoic calmness and confidence. Gratitude is a central practice that cultivates calmness and strengthens self-confidence. The Stoics encourage daily reflection on what we already have, instead of focusing on what we lack. Gratitude shifts the mind from restlessness to contentment. When you learn to appreciate the simplest things, a breath of fresh air, the ability to think, the presence of loved ones, you discover that peace is not found in possessions or achievements, but in perspective. Gratitude calms the restless desire for more, teaching you that you already possess enough to live well. This realization breeds calmness because your happiness is no longer tied to chasing endless desires. At the same time, gratitude builds confidence, because when you appreciate your journey and growth, you recognize your inner strength. Rather than constantly comparing yourself to others, you learn to trust in your own path. The Stoics often practiced morning and evening gratitude reflections, strengthening the ability to face life's challenges with perspective. Gratitude does not deny hardship. It acknowledges both blessings and difficulties as part of the same fabric of life. This balanced perspective brings calm resilience and the steady confidence that you are equipped to handle whatever comes your way. Gratitude is a central practice that cultivates calmness and strengthens self-confidence. The Stoics encourage daily reflection on what we already have, instead of focusing on what we lack. Gratitude shifts the mind from restlessness to contentment. When you learn to appreciate the simplest things, a breath of fresh air, the ability to think, the presence of loved ones, you discover that peace is not found in possessions or achievements, but in perspective. Gratitude calms the restless desire for more, teaching you that you already possess enough to live well. This realization breeds calmness, because your happiness is no longer tied to chasing endless desires. At the same time, gratitude builds confidence, because when you appreciate your journey and growth, you recognize your inner strength. Rather than constantly comparing yourself to others, you learn to trust in your own path. The Stoics often practiced morning and evening gratitude reflections, strengthening the ability to face life's challenges with perspective. Gratitude does not deny hardship. It acknowledges both blessings and difficulties as part of the same fabric of life. This balanced perspective brings calm resilience and the steady confidence that you are equipped to handle whatever comes your way. In a world addicted to speed and instant results, patience is an underrated form of strength. Stoicism teaches that time is essential, and rushing through life often leads to mistakes, frustration, and lost peace of mind. Patience is the ability to endure delays and difficulties without anger or despair. It is calmness in action. The Stoics practiced patience by accepting that nature works on its own timeline. Seasons change when they must, progress takes time, and people evolve at their own pace. Impatience, on the other hand, breeds anxiety and weakens confidence. When you learn patience, you approach challenges with endurance rather than desperation. Patience gives you calmness because you no longer demand instant results from yourself or others. It also builds self-confidence because patience proves you trust in your ability to persist and endure. Every meaningful achievement in life, whether building character, mastering a skill, or healing from loss, requires patience. By embracing patience as a virtue, you align yourself with the natural flow of life. The calmness of patience is not passive, it is active strength. A quiet confidence that time is an ally, not an enemy. Courage and calmness are deeply connected. Many people assume that calmness is the absence of fear, but the Stoics knew that calmness is the mastery of fear. Courage is the force that allows calmness to exist even in danger or uncertainty. Without courage, calmness collapses under pressure. Courage also builds confidence, because each time you face fear with strength, you prove to yourself that you can endure. The Stoics practiced courage not only in great battles, but in everyday challenges, speaking truth when unpopular, enduring hardship with dignity, or resisting destructive desires. This kind of courage is quiet yet powerful. It creates a calm mindset because fear no longer dictates your reactions. Instead of panicking in uncertainty, you act with clarity and steadiness. Courage does not eliminate fear. It transforms it into fuel for growth. In this way, courage and calmness become inseparable companions, and together they produce genuine confidence. A courageous person is not reckless but deliberate, facing life's storms with steady resolve. With courage, calmness becomes possible, and with calmness, confidence becomes unshakable. The Stoics valued simplicity, believing that much of human suffering comes from unnecessary complexity and excess. When life is cluttered with endless desires, possessions, and distractions, calmness disappears, and confidence erodes under constant comparison. Simplicity, however, creates space for clarity and peace. A simple life is not about poverty, but about prioritizing what truly matters: virtue, relationships, meaningful work, and inner growth. By removing what is unnecessary, you conserve energy for what is essential. This mindset cultivates calmness, because you no longer chase every fleeting desire or compete for external validation. Simplicity also builds confidence, because when you stop measuring yourself by external possessions or appearances, you find strength in who you are, not in what you own. The Stoics often lived with minimalism, practicing voluntary discomfort to remind themselves that happiness is not dependent on luxury. In modern times, simplicity can mean reducing digital distractions, saying no to meaningless commitments, and focusing on values instead of trends. Through simplicity, you discover that calmness is not found in having more but in needing less. This realization builds unshakable confidence, because your peace no longer depends on circumstances but on your mindset. Discipline is the backbone of Stoic philosophy, and it is the bridge between intention and action. Without discipline, even the best mindset cannot be sustained, because desires, impulses, and distractions will pull you away from your values. Discipline creates calmness by giving structure to life. When you live with discipline, your days are guided by purpose rather than chaos, and this reduces anxiety. Confidence also grows because discipline builds trust in yourself. You know you can rely on your own consistency. The Stoics practiced discipline in many forms: moderation in food and drink, simplicity in possessions, and constancy in virtue. In modern life, discipline might mean controlling digital consumption, following a routine of reflection, or exercising regularly. Discipline is not about harsh restriction but about alignment, bringing your daily habits in line with your highest principles. Each act of discipline is a reminder that you control your mind and actions. Over time, discipline becomes freedom, because you are no longer enslaved by impulses or distractions. This steady discipline transforms your mindset into a fortress of calmness and a source of unshakable self-confidence. Failure is often feared as the end of confidence, but for the Stoic, it is one of the greatest opportunities for growth. Failure reveals areas for improvement, tests resilience, and strengthens character. Calmness comes from accepting failure as natural, not as a personal catastrophe. Instead of reacting with despair, the Stoic examines failure rationally. What lesson can I learn here? What can I improve for next time? This perspective transforms failure from something destructive into something constructive. Confidence grows through this process because each time you rise after failure, you prove your resilience. Instead of being crushed, you emerge stronger. The Stoics even practiced voluntary failure, exposing themselves to discomfort or potential loss in controlled ways, so that real setbacks would not overwhelm them. In modern life, where perfectionism often creates paralyzing fear of failure, this Stoic approach is revolutionary. By embracing failure as a teacher, you remain calm in the face of mistakes and confident in your ability to grow. Failure ceases to be the enemy and becomes an ally on the path to wisdom and strength. A key Stoic principle is distinguishing between what you can control and what you cannot. This balance is essential for both calmness and confidence. Many people exhaust themselves trying to control outcomes, other people or external events, which only leads to frustration and anxiety. The Stoics remind us your control ends at your thoughts, choices, and actions. Everything else belongs to fate, fortune, or others. When you surrender what is beyond your power, you gain calmness because you stop fighting battles you cannot win. Confidence also grows because you focus your energy where it truly matters, on your own virtue and effort. This balance is not passivity, it is wisdom. You act with full strength where you can make a difference, and you let go of the rest. In relationships, this means offering love without demanding control. In work, it means giving your best without obsessing over recognition. In life, it means living fully while accepting mortality. This harmony between control and surrender is one of the most liberating Stoic lessons. It produces a mindset that is calm under uncertainty and confident in the face of destiny. True confidence is not selfish. It grows stronger when directed towards serving others. The Stoics valued justice and contribution, believing that each individual is part of a larger whole. When you act in service to others, you gain calmness because your life is guided by purpose beyond personal gain. Self-confidence also becomes deeper because you recognize your ability to make a meaningful difference in the world. Service humbles arrogance, transforming confidence from self-centered pride into quiet strength. Whether through kindness, mentorship, or acts of justice, serving others reinforces your values and expands your resilience. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that humans are like hands and feet of the same body, meant to work together. When you live with this mindset, setbacks feel lighter, because you know your existence serves something greater. Calmness grows because ego-driven anxiety diminishes, and confidence grows because your worth is measured not by external status, but by the impact of your character. In this way, service becomes both a path to inner peace and a source of unshakable confidence. Reflection is one of the most practical Stoic tools for developing mindset, calmness, and confidence. Each day, the Stoics would review their actions, what went well, what could be improved, and how they responded to challenges. This practice turns experience into wisdom. Reflection creates calmness because it clears mental clutter. Instead of carrying guilt, confusion, or frustration, you process them rationally. Confidence also grows through reflection because you see your progress over time. You realize that even when you stumble, you are learning and improving. Reflection strengthens self-awareness, helps align your actions with your values, and prevents repeating the same mistakes. In modern times, journaling or mindful meditation serves a similar purpose. Taking just a few minutes daily to reflect creates a powerful cycle of growth. Calmness arises because your mind is organized and your conscience is clear. Confidence arises because you trust your ability to learn from every experience. Through consistent reflection, your mindset becomes stronger, your emotions steadier, and your character more resilient. It is through reflection that philosophy transforms from theory into daily life. Silence is a powerful tool for cultivating calmness and confidence. The Stoics warned against the dangers of idle talk, gossip, and reacting hastily in speech. Words once spoken cannot be taken back, and unnecessary speech often leads to conflict or regret. Practicing silence allows space for thought, reflection, and emotional control. Calmness arises because silence prevents you from being dragged into every argument or emotional storm. Confidence grows because silence demonstrates self-control. You do not feel the need to prove yourself constantly or dominate conversations. A confident person knows their value without seeking constant validation through words. Silence also sharpens observation, allowing you to learn more about people and situations before responding. Epictetus advised that we should listen more than we speak, because listening is the pathway to wisdom. In modern times, where endless chatter fills social media and everyday life, the discipline of silence is even more valuable. It protects your peace, strengthens your character, and amplifies your words when you do choose to speak. Through silence, you embody the calmness of restraint and the confidence of inner strength. Much of human suffering comes not from what we lack, but from endless desires that can never be fully satisfied. The Stoics recognize that freedom and calmness come from reducing unnecessary wants and focusing on what is essential. A person ruled by desires is never at peace. When one desire is fulfilled, another quickly takes its place. By simplifying desires, you free yourself from this cycle. Calmness comes because you no longer chase endlessly after what you cannot control. Confidence grows because your happiness is self-sustained, not dependent on possessions or circumstances. Seneca often reminded that wealth consists not in having much, but in needing little. This simplicity of desire is not deprivation, it is liberation. You still enjoy what life offers, but you are not enslaved by it. In modern life, consumer culture constantly pressures people to want more, but Stoicism provides the antidote: gratitude for what is already present and contentment with sufficiency. When desires are disciplined, your mind becomes lighter, your spirit calmer, and your confidence unshakable, because your peace cannot be stolen by loss or disappointment. Calmness is not only a personal strength, it is also a defining quality of great leaders. When a leader remains calm in the face of crisis, it stabilizes everyone around them. The Stoics believed that leadership is rooted in example, not authority. A leader who reacts with panic spreads fear, but one who responds with calmness inspires confidence and trust. Calm leadership comes from clarity of values and steadiness of character. Confidence also flows naturally from such leadership because it is not based on arrogance but on reliability. People follow those who embody stability, not those who shout the loudest. Marcus Aurelius, as emperor, faced immense pressures, wars, plagues, and political chaos, but he maintained calm reflection and fairness in decisions, earning respect across generations. In modern life, leadership may occur in workplaces, families, or communities, and the principle remains the same: calmness creates trust, and trust creates influence. A calm leader inspires confidence not only in themselves but also in others, guiding people through uncertainty with wisdom and steadiness. This is the essence of Stoic leadership: strength through serenity. The ultimate goal of Stoic practice is inner freedom, the ability to live with calmness and confidence regardless of external conditions. Inner freedom means you are no longer enslaved by fear, desire, or public opinion. It is the state of being unshakable, because your happiness rests solely on what you can control: your thoughts, choices, and actions. Calmness arises from this freedom, because nothing external can disturb your peace. Confidence also becomes natural, because you no longer measure yourself against shifting standards. Inner freedom is joyful, because it is self-sustaining. You carry peace with you everywhere, rather than chasing it outside. The Stoics remind us that fortune may take away possessions, status, or even health, but it cannot take away your ability to live with virtue. That realization is the root of freedom. In today's world, where external validation dominates, inner freedom is rare and precious. It allows you to live authentically, speak truthfully, and act courageously. The joy of inner freedom is not loud or flashy. It is quiet, steady, and enduring. It is the calmness of a mind at peace and the confidence of a soul aligned with virtue. In the end, your mindset is the foundation of your entire life. Everything: calmness, confidence, resilience, leadership, freedom, flows from how you choose to perceive and respond to the world. The Stoics taught that while external events may be unpredictable, Your mindset remains within your power. A strong mindset transforms challenges into opportunities, turns fear into courage, and replaces chaos with calmness. Confidence built on mindset is unshakable because it does not depend on luck or approval, but on disciplined thought and steady virtue. Life will always bring difficulties, loss, failure, injustice. But with the right mindset, these experiences become teachers rather than destroyers. The ultimate Stoic lesson is that your happiness and strength are never at the mercy of external events, only of your own mind. By cultivating a mindset rooted in calmness, self-discipline, gratitude, and courage, you unlock the power to live fully and fearlessly. Mindset is not just one part of life. It is everything. It is the lens through which you see the world, the anchor that holds you steady, and the light that guides you confidently forward. With the Stoic mindset, you do not just survive life, you master it.